All right, everyone. Welcome to the Conservative Input. Today I'm joined by Tim, Josie, Devin, Steven, and Zane. And then, of course, there's me. And I'm not important, so we'll just dive right into the subjects today.
I
We're
wouldn't
gonna be
say
talking.
that.
Yeah, don't just guys
Man's
just
just
ignore what he
roasted
said. He is
himself.
important.
Yeah, super important. He does our what's that one thing you do, Mason?
The segments.
His segments. All right. I think this
He
is
does the
the this is I
comedy
think this is
stuff.
one of the biggest turnouts we've had. 6 people.
Yeah, I think
I think
so.
I think usually it's
Yeah.
like max is 5, but hey, we're good. We got it.
Yeah, man.
So what's on
Very
the
large turnout.
what's on the agenda for today, Mason?
Today we're going to be talking with a lot about Afghanistan and a lot about that because it's a pretty big deal right now. I would say one of the bigger deals going on in this um, administration. Great thing going on. So, Stephen, I know that you have a lot to say because you've been talking a lot about it.
Well,
Would you want to kick us off?
because Afghanistan, like just at first I didn't even read a lot about this, but then when I read stuff about Afghanistan and just seeing like videos of just like people suffering under like the Taliban, and even there was a video of a woman crying out, "Biden, you're ruining our country!" Like she's literally speaking out against Biden and his administration for just failing their
Wow,
duties,
I did
and
not see
even
that video.
yeah, and it's like it's adding more to like Biden's decline even. So this whole Afghanistan issue is really just like awakening our eyes to see what's going on. Bad foreign policy equals just like bad world. And like since like America's like in the center of the whole universe, so like since like the United States is like we're like the center of the whole world. So basically everything that we do, it'll influence other countries.
Oh yeah.
And right now Biden is making us look weak. I don't know about you
Have
guys.
you? I mean, absolutely, he's making us look weak. But have you guys seen the photo of where Afghanistan's like mocking our Hiroshima photo in our gear
Yeah,
No.
in the
Yeah.
U.S.
I've
military
seen that.
gear? I'm
Wait,
like,
they
that's a smack in the face right there. Like, I mean, it's just so disrespectful and terrible.
Hmm.
wait. Okay, can someone share that image cuz I have not seen it.
I haven't either.
Yeah, I haven't
Yeah,
seen.
absolutely. Let me go look.
All right. Devin's got it. See,
Can you guys hear me?
yes, we can.
Yeah, they're also wearing our gear too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Of course they are.
Taliban.
We leave it,
Yeah, we gave him like
We
$1
left-
trillion here.
so much military equipment there. I mean, why not wear equipment that's better than what you have? You know.
Come on, man.
See, I honestly I hate the Taliban, but I don't blame them specifically for anything that's happening. Because
Mhm.
I know it could have been avoided,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
you know?
that's true.
And it's insanely irritating to see mainstream media and people on social media talking about how oh they promised gender equality or whatever. Gender equality, really? They said didn't they say something about we'll give women's rights to the extent of like Sharia law or
Islam.
something?
Yeah,
Yeah.
they said to the extent of Islam,
I
like
hate-
what Islam did.
Yeah.
Which doesn't give him any rights.
I hate to break it to you lefties, but that's virtually none.
That's not. Yeah.
Come
You
on,
know.
man. Oh, do you expect Afghanistan to even change? Like, why did we even get involved so much with like Afghanistan, all for the sake of like hunting down Al Qaeda or whatever, man? Like we're not here to like build an empire. We're trying to like defend our republic, and like what Biden did, and like the way Biden just withdrew our troops, like we could have done it by the time like Trump set the date for May 1st, but he just freaking extended the date. But then Biden just royally messed up on it.
Like you
Yeah.
see, I was all for pulling troops out of Afghanistan because we should not be staying there forever. And I knew
Mhm.
eventually, like if we did pull our troops, the Taliban would come in because it's a power vacuum.
Mhm.
But the way that he did it, just pulling everyone out, leaving everything behind, including citizens and people, no.
Yeah,
Terrible.
it was a really bad way to do it.
See, yeah, even the Germans, the French, and the British, like they got their troops to evacuate their citizens out.
Mhm.
Why couldn't we do that?
Yeah.
Come on.
Biden, he's showing, because now he's not saying, hey, I'm going to get some troops in just to get our guys out. He's showing that agenda is more important than citizens that are there. He's showing that his agenda, his promises are more important than that.
See, my thing is I actually think it's important to have a military presence in Afghanistan. Or not, yeah, a military presence in Afghanistan. See, I pretty much follow the mantra, you know, we are like the police of the world. And a lot of people on the left hate that. You know, they're like, why, you know, we're terrible. You know, our government sucks and stuff. And I mean, like, hey, our government does kind of suck because, you know, politicians. But I think it's important for us to have a military presence in any country that's doing what Afghanistan does, if you know what I mean. Or at least in countries where, you know, non-democratic values have such a high prevalence, like where the Taliban is, you know. And that's, I feel like that's where I'm different than a lot of people, because I would be perfectly fine with us not pulling out, but, you know, modifying how we were in Afghanistan, because, you know.
Yeah, like I'm kind of honestly on the fence about it. Like I see the good in us being in some places that are really like have no good system, you know. But then again, I'm also like, but is it really like our job and our business? And often I don't know, like to be in those places, it just seems like it automatically gives our government more power than it should have, possibly. But I don't know, I'm a little on the fence about that. But like either way, whether you think it's like good to have them pulled out or whether or not, we still can basically all agree, it seems, that it was just done in an awful way. Like,
oh yeah. And I will clarify, I'm completely fine with pulling out if we do it the right way, which we did not do.
Or if they didn't need us, because I mean, if you look at the way that they controlled our people and them doing things like that, they're not doing it like a moral, like ethically good way. You know, it would be different if their area was able to function normally, but it can't, and the way that they treat people is wrong. So I feel like in places like that, it's kind of important to be there, because look how much chaos there is now.
Yeah. And that's where I draw my conclusion with the whole having a military presence there. In countries where, you know, it's not like the way they treat their people isn't a big deal, I'm all for us like completely disinvolving ourselves with them.
We don't need to be everywhere.
Yeah.
But then why does our country want to impose like international intervention too much, even at times when it's unnecessary? That's the thing.
Well, I feel like a lot of that is, so with the case of most more Norwegian countries, the reason why most Norwegian countries can afford a socialistic form of government, or, you know, a single payer healthcare system, or universal free education, is because they don't spend anything on their military. So the U.S. provides that military aid for them. I feel like that is stupid, for lack of a better word. It's completely unnecessary, because defense of one's country should be up to that country.
Yes.
Unless they are like completely unable to do so, which is not the case for most Norwegian countries. You know, in Afghanistan, we aren't defending the country; we're defending the people from the radical Islamic groups there that wish to do harm to not only the people but also the way of living of the country. You know, completely change the way their country works, which, you know, would be good if it was done a different way, but not the way they want to do it.
Yes, I agree.
Yep. Well, what are we gonna do now? How is Biden doing, by the way, on vacation? Like, did I forget to mention, as the woman, there's a bit, like I said, there was a video of the woman crying out against Biden. As she was crying out, there's been some rumor going on that President Biden is on vacation while all this destruction was happening.
Yeah, well, he was supposed to go to Delaware, but the White House released a statement saying that he wasn't going to be leaving. So I don't know what the whole news on him being on vacation is, but, you know, Kamala hasn't really. So at first, Kamala was assigned to the border security. She didn't do anything for months. First time she visited the border was after Trump said he would visit. So after that, she hasn't done really anything. Biden, all the Biden administration Biden administration has done, has ruined the economy, left thousands of U.S. citizens stranded in a foreign country with people who want to kill them, and let COVID-infected illegal immigrants be shipped out all across the United States. So, there isn't really much to say other than the fact that, they either don't know what they're doing or they know what they're doing it and they're doing it on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Which, either one could be completely possible, in my opinion. If you look at the way Biden, just carries himself during, press conferences and stuff, he either doesn't know what he's doing or he knows what he's doing and he just doesn't want to talk about it, and he gets caught up in his words because he's trying to avoid certain things, and some things slip, and some things, he refuses to answer questions. That's completely insane to me.
But the media still wants to prop him up as a good guy who wants to unify America.
Yeah.
Donald Trump bad. Joe Biden's amazing. He's a good daddy.
And I have seen way more agreement in a way, from left-wing media, even kind of not being able to defend Biden as well as they usually are, way more common ground on this issue than many, at least in the case of not appreciating what Biden did and how he did it,
Yeah, when it comes to Afghanistan, at least.
Refreshing, but if it wasn't.
Yeah, as of right now, only people on the right realize that the economy is doing terribly, or at least will say that the economy is doing terribly. The people on the left think it's perfectly fine when a 5.4 inflation rate is absolutely insane and it's terrible.
Oh, wait, look at this. Look at that, folks. I just found out Biden is also slipping in his approval rating. Wow,
of course. His approval rating's been going down since he took office.
I heard that his approval rating.
That's a good thing.
Now.
What? Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Well, what happened to the unity? Where's your promises now, Biden?
They're infringing on the 10th Amendment. That's what happened to the unity.
Man, you don't have all your dead supporters with your approval rating.
Yeah, where's their vote?
Wait, gosh. Oh my gosh. YouTube will probably censor us later for this. But anyways, with this whole Afghanistan thing, though, I've seen people suffering. All these children, there are even mothers that are trying to toss their children up over the barricades just to let them help them survive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's
you see
definitely
how serious this is, and it's chaotic.
Yeah, it's very heartbreaking and eye-opening, and I don't know. It just shows that all of this stuff is serious. Everything we're fighting for and what Biden can or can't do, it makes a big difference and it impacts a lot of people beyond us. But
and I feel like the biggest thing that they're trying to say. So I think it was I don't want to get the number wrong. I think it was 26,000 people there. Not U.S. citizens, but people there that we want to get out. We actually want to help get out of that country. I don't know what the number is, Josie. If you could look that up for me, that would be amazing.
Yes.
And then we see left wing media be we got 5,000 people out in 24 hours, and I'm 5,000 people isn't the people that need to get out of that country.
Yeah, they're right when it I think first happened, they got 600 Afghan refugees that came to America, but no Americans.
Yeah, and wow. The thing is, those refugees, they aren't refugees. They're 600 well-bodied men who did nothing to stop the Taliban while they were there.
Yeah.
And it's it raises some questions about who we're letting into our country if we're just going to take 600 refugees, and we've got no idea what their motives are. And we've got people in Afghanistan who have worked with the military, who the Taliban is actively hunting down and killing. are we seriously going to let those people, you know, just be like taken out by radical
Yeah.
extremists?
Yeah, and those radical
And-
extremists, like, I cannot believe what the media reports on these
Mhm.
radical extremists that are chanting "Death to America."
Oh, they're,
But-
What
they're
woman
mostly
said-
friendly.
But they're mostly friendly though, Stephen.
Mostly friendly. Don't forget about that.
It's
They're mostly-
strange.
Oh,
they're
you're
chanting "Death to
brainwashed.
America," but they're mostly friendly.
Exactly.
Yeah,
That's
they're-
what they're
they're-
saying.
Didn't
Yeah.
that report
That's
get
what
like
makes me
kicked
so
off the
upset. This is
They're like, hey, get to the
degeneracy.
side because you're a woman or something like that?
Yeah, they did not like her.
And then later
Of
they're
course
like,
they
oh yeah, they're promising gender stuff, even though she just got removed from the street because she's a woman. Yeah, this is going well.
Also, according to Joe Biden, our American troops won't leave until the citizens leave, and who knows how long that's going to be.
Oh, did that happen though?
He said that. He said
Yeah.
that. You can look it up. Joe Biden did say that. He said that the American troops can't leave until the people leave.
Yeah.
You have to keep
Oh, wow.
taking Afghan refugees.
Yeah. And I feel like, you know, he'd been mostly silent on the issue until he had, was it NBC? MSNBC? I don't know what it was.
So,
But he had an interview with someone from some news media, and the guy brings up, you know, the videos of people, like, holding onto the plane and, you know, the pictures of them, like, literally falling from the sky. And he was like, that was 4 or 5 days ago. I'm like, it doesn't matter how many days ago it was. You know, that's your fault. You did that. You know?
yeah.
If you kill someone and you say, you know, hey, that was 4 or 5 days ago, you still killed someone.
Yeah, it's like,
Oh,
that doesn't negate it.
That's
at all.
not, it's not an excuse. And they do that all the time. They say stuff that's supposed to be like an excuse or supposed to make it right when that's not the case. You know?
Yeah. It looks like as of Tuesday, anyway, there was 10 to 15,000 U.S. citizens still in Afghanistan.
And that's just citizens.
Yeah, that's just U.S. citizens. I saw some numbers like over 7,000 like allies, Afghan allies.
Yeah, that sounds about right. And,
Something like
also,
ooh, Zane's cutting out.
that. No.
there. I saw something about. I think they're sending 6,000 more troops back there.
What?
Hey,
Oh my
good job
gosh.
pulling out of
No,
Afghanistan, Biden.
No,
That's
Great
definitely
job.
pulling out.
you
His
just.
pull-out game's weak.
What?
I mean, hey.
No. Why are we sending more troops? Nuh-uh. Just get him out. They need to come back home, man.
I mean,
Zane,
it's like
Oh.
he pulled them out enough to cause enough damage, and then now he's just going to have to send them back in order
Yeah.
to not even reverse the damage, but to possibly make it a little better. So,
yeah,
Well,
and
now-
who
Well, now
knows
they
if that'll
have,
make it better.
They're fully
Yeah,
armed
who
with
knows?
weapons as well. There's
It's
like
kind of like a dad that doesn't want to be a part of a kid's life, but still has to pay child support.
Yeah. Except the dad is the U.S. citizens and the child support is our taxes.
Wow. Anyway.
It's just, I don't know, man. I just figured like there could have been one thing, you know, one thing that he did good in his administration or in his time in office, and he just messed it up terribly. Because a lot of a lot of Americans were like, yeah, we need to pull out of Afghanistan. You know, that had been a talking point of presidents for years. You know, and
Yeah,
that was
since, like-
that was something American citizens could get behind. But
yeah.
you know, you wanna do it half-assed, and you wanna get it out of the way, and you end up messing up big time, and it
Yeah.
causes
Yeah, leaving them with our equipment, our guns, our night
yeah.
night vision, all that. Now they have access to that on top of like their crazy ideologies and
Mhm.
things like that.
Yeah.
But just because they got fancy gear doesn't mean they still don't know how to shoot. They're terrible shots.
Yeah.
Mm.
Well, I mean, okay. I mean, if you look at, I'm pretty sure it happened under Obama. You know, he gave them weapons to help defend against someone, and then I don't actually know the story. I just know Obama gave them guns, and it turned out badly for us.
Mhm.
Yeah,
And it's happening again. But instead of just handing them the guns, he left them there,
left them.
which is, I mean, arguably worse because he had to know what happened. He was briefed on it plenty
Yeah.
of times. He was told it was going to happen. He was like, "Oh, we had no idea." You had no idea. You were told. You were
Yeah.
told it was going to happen.
It's kind of weird seeing like all this like media and stuff. Like, there's people from the Pentagon saying they have no clue how many people are still stranded there. You got Joe Biden saying he has no clue, but then he did have a clue. You got these
Oh
both
my
generals
God,
that have
that's
no
so
clue what's
sad.
going on. It's confusing because like something like that doesn't fly under the radar.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You'd have to have known about it. It doesn't just happen overnight.
Yeah, because the military, when we work with people, we make sure they're taken care of. At least that was the idea at one point. I don't know if that's the idea now, but there's got to be a list or something of people. There's got to be a registry or something of people. Hey, the people the people in the military who are there. We know who's there. We've got to, at least. We've got to know our allies there because we got to make sure they're taken care of. So there's no way they don't know how many people are there and how many people need to be taken out. That's ridiculous.
To say that there isn't a list, there is always a list. Like
Always.
with everything, including like COVID vaccine. Remember when they said door to door, the people who aren't vaccinated? Well, how would they know you're not vaccinated? There's a list. There's a list for everything and where everyone is. There's no need to tracking devices because we have these everywhere we go. So that there isn't a list. There is a list.
Yeah.
There was a list that the Taliban got a hold of. Was it Afghan allies that help the military and stuff? So they're screwed.
Well, yeah. I don't think they had the list. I think what they did, they went to door as well. Hey, and then they asked people. And, people are terrified of the Taliban. So they're going to tell them, The Taliban will knock on your door and, pull you out of your house and say, yo, who is working with the American people? And they'll point you out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And, hey, I don't blame them. What's the first thing you're going to want to do? You're going to want to protect your friends and your family. So if that means throwing somebody else under the bus, why wouldn't they? And I think it's unfair and it's idiotic to assume that this wouldn't happen, because it did. And
But yeah, one thing about all of this that it really has opened my eyes, and I realized I am glad that Biden hasn't done anything in his past 47 years as a career politician, because if he's done anything that he's doing now, the world would be over by now if he had any sort of power beforehand.
Well, he did try and take credit for Bin Laden.
Even though he was against it, right?
Yeah, he was. He voted against it. And then he took credit for it.
Why did he vote against Bin Laden?
Why? Exactly. I don't know why either.
Great scheme going on with everything in the Middle East. I just don't know what.
Politicians have their own motives.
My head hurts.
And here's the thing with Biden. It's like, if I'm not mistaken, Biden actually voted. Like, I'm not surprised that, Biden is being like this with Afghanistan, because, like, even before Biden was president, like, he even voted for a war in Iraq. Like, he got us, like, involved in the Middle East so much, and we had to the American military, like, these days, like, we were forced to, like, carpet bomb the heck out of Iraq or whatever. Like, George Bush's war, like, Biden voted for it. So he's, like, in a way, he's kind of like a warmongering maniac or something, but people don't even realize it.
Yeah. And I think there's just, I'm gonna let somebody else go. I gotta put my words together before I start going on a rant and say something that I don't know what I'm talking about, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just think about what would happen. What if Trump was in the exact same situation that Biden is in right now? What would Trump do?
They'd remove him from office.
Oh yeah,
that's what they would do. They would do everything in their power to get him to stop, because he's killing everyone and doing everything wrong.
Mm-hmm.
They'd mark Trump as a fascist dictator for doing that, for protecting the American people.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, my God!
Trying to gain control.
I think the biggest thing is they didn't like his mouth, so they impeached him twice, even though we had one of the best economies we've had under him. He helped relations with many of our enemies, which hey,
But that equals bending over.
Yeah, but I mean, hey, mending ties with, or not mending ties, but keeping our enemies in check. Enemies, friends close, enemies closer is a good idea when it comes to government. He did all these great things for the country, and we seemed pretty prosperous before COVID hit, and then they impeached him twice. And then we've got Biden in office. Terrible inflation, terrible unemployment. We've got the situation in Iraq. We've got all his allegations that have been completely buried, and there's not a word of impeachment. And I really am waiting for, 2022 because we know Republicans are going to have majority. There's no way they don't. Because, the American people know what's up. I can't wait for that to happen, so
Yeah.
something's going to be brought up. It's going to be addressed.
Oh yeah, by the way, if I'm not mistaken, GOP Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene is actually planning to file articles of impeachment against Joe Biden.
That's good.
Let's go.
He has done more to hurt the American people in the first not even year of his presidency than Trump has done to help people in all of his presidency. So
one thing that like a huge thing is the difference between Trump and Biden. I don't even know if you guys heard about this, but Trump waited till 3 a.m. for two American hostages to arrive home. Just 2 people. And then Biden's over here hiding at Camp David, not wanting to say anything about the hundreds of plus Americans that are still trapped in Afghanistan. They're probably getting beheaded at this moment.
Yeah, he's hiding in Camp David and planning to go on vacation to his home state.
Yeah.
While, we've got a country that we were very closely involved in being torn apart by radical extremists. And I think the biggest thing is I was scrolling through Instagram so I can get more information on it because that's how I get my news, Instagram and Twitter. He lied to the American people about he lied about Americans being able to get out of the country through Kabul. People are going to the airport there, and that's not the way out. They can't get out there because the Taliban is there.
And they're saying it's mostly peaceful and it's not a mess when it's super chaotic in that airport right now. The Taliban's ringing out shots everywhere, capturing people, beating up people. It's a huge stampede. People are trying to get on planes. People are trying to get onto the plane, climb on the outsides of the planes. It's a mess. And Biden's just sitting by and letting it happen and saying, "Oh, it's fine. We did everything we could.
It's okay."
Yeah. I don't know if you guys saw the video, but I pulled it up on YouTube to remind myself of it. But I saw it a few days ago. It's this Afghan war veteran on an interview with MSNBC. But it was so interesting because the commentator, reporter guy, whoever he was saying it was right after one of Biden's speeches about the situation in Afghanistan, and the reporter guy was like, Biden definitely owned it. He wasn't running away from the situation at all. And then next, then he asked what this guy thought about it, the veteran, and he was like, I must have seen a different speech than you did, because that's the opposite of what happened, and that's the opposite of he was just, I don't know, it was very good. But
the speech that Biden gave was, I think, less than 20 minutes. It was a 20-minute speech. And the entire time, he wasn't addressing anything. He was just blaming people. He's blaming Trump mostly. And he's like, oh, it's all Trump's fault. Trump was trying to make peace. He wasn't putting any troops there. He wasn't trying to cause stuff. And so the entire time, Biden was trying to blame people and cover his butt.
Not only that, though, you can only play the blame game for so long. You're the president of the United States. You have to own up to stuff at some point, and stop playing the blame game,
Well, Biden's been playing it ever since his political career.
That's
And
what I'm saying. Yeah.
he hasn't been caught, so he just still does it.
Yeah.
You could have done it. The leader of the free world, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you have
Yeah.
to respond. Yeah, it's now your responsibility. Whether or not it was your fault, like the root cause may not have been your fault, but either way, you're in a position where you're the one who needs to respond and take the responsibility for it. You know how to get out of it or how to work around it.
Well, he needs to put on his big boy pants and realize he needs to take some,
Yeah,
he needs
He,
to
he probably
own up.
pooped those pants.
Oh,
He
absolutely.
probably pooped. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Mm. Wow.
Then my question. But then the thing with Biden, though, it's like he could have at least followed up on Trump's plan and just and not extended. He could have just withdrawn the troops by May 1st. Why
No,
did he
but
just extend and just mess up horribly with this? Oh my lord.
because they're trying to take everything that Trump made, built up, and they're destroying it. They're tearing it down.
Oh man. I want a
Evidence
policy of
dictatorship.
I want a president that wants to reinstate the policy of Americanism, not globalism. Because Biden, I also believe, is part of the globalist agenda. He's just a prelude.
Well, and not only that, it's like they are trying to lost my train of thought with that. Hold on, you guys keep talking, then I'll say what I'm saying.
Well, one like constructive thing that's like more of a good side. It's not a good side, but it's something positive to focus on. I don't know if you guys have heard of it, but the Nazarene Fund, they're raising money to like help rescue people from Afghanistan specifically, and like I think they've been doing it like anywhere in the Middle East or whatever, but of course now they're like focusing on Afghanistan for right now, it seems, and Glenn Beck is a part of it and Tim Ballard, stuff like that. But yeah, so if you guys want to donate, anyone, I think I'm going to. But anyway, yes. So that's one thing, like, because we have to be able to respond as well, like, because we can't shift all responsibility. I mean, yes, Biden is responsible for the whole situation, but that doesn't mean there's nothing we can try to do about it. So
Of course, man. We are America.
yeah,
Hey, we are
we don't
Americans.
need
We
the
are all
government to fix all problems, but yes.
Yeah, come
I
on,
never-
man.
But they created it. I agree.
I never thought I'd say this, but I actually agree or support the Taliban in one thing.
What?
They troll Biden on social media.
They do.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, they troll the heck out of him. They post pictures of him eating ice cream. They post pictures of them making fun of Biden. It's the best. Yeah. Oh, don't Black Ops.
I was gonna say,
Yeah, they're taking joyrides in our helicopters.
mhm.
Yeah, and the Humvees now, compared to back when he was president, the Humvees are probably 10 times better because the military is constantly upgrading their gear and constantly coming up with new stuff. So they probably have top of the line gear just handed to them.
That's what I forgot what I was saying in the middle of my sentence earlier was that, they're acting like children, like they're going and they're trying to change everything that Trump has done just because Trump did it, not because it actually benefited people, it actually made sense, whatever. And now it's kind of backfiring on them, especially in this case. So it's like they should have, they just need to stop like putting their letting their egos make their decisions for that,
It's all because he said some mean words.
Yeah, Orange Man
Yeah,
bad.
yeah,
Orange Man
man.
bad. Oh.
Exactly.
Wow.
More damaging.
Any
right?
ice cream. I mean, what kind of bad person?
Yeah, exactly. Chocolate chip.
What good people
Wow.
eat ice cream? Oh, we'll get copyrighted.
We have to gain control of this. We have to move this more quickly. We have to
Oh.
move in a way in which we can take control of that airport. And we did. But we've all seen the pictures. We've seen those hundreds of people packed into a C-17. We've seen Afghans falling. That was 4 days ago, 5 days ago. What did you think when you first saw those pictures? What I thought was we have to gain control of this. We have to move this more quickly. We have to move in a way in which we can take control of that airport.
And I just realized that I've been muted for a while, so most of what I said has been unheard, but that's fine. I haven't said anything too groundbreaking.
What is
They heard y'all though.
Everybody is
I
muted.
thought
Cringe. Biden cringe.
Yeah, it's the whole 4 or 5 days ago thing. Like we said earlier, it's stupid. It's a dumb argument. It's a dumb way to try and shift blame, and it's something that they've been doing the entire presidency or the entire administration. So
That's like saying after Al Qaeda flew planes into our buildings, it's like, oh, Al Qaeda flew planes into our buildings, but that was like 2 days ago, so it doesn't matter anymore.
yeah,
It's-
it was
doesn't-
20 years ago, Zane. Come on, let it go.
Wow. Even though that was one of the worst terrorist attacks on America.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny when they say, "Oh, it was 4 or 5 days ago." It's like, yeah, Trump hasn't been in office for more than 6 months, but yet y'all are blaming him for everything.
Oh yeah, they blamed him for something recently, like said he recently done something, but he's not even in office.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, he's in the power.
Trump is living rent free.
he's-
He's in Florida right now.
And he's not a politician, so it's not like he can make any policies to affect anything either.
yeah.
You know?
Trump did something. What? His Twitter's banned. He's not in any groups.
Mm-hmm.
He's a businessman, and he's not a politician.
Yeah, like he barely even has a platform.
Office.
Yeah.
I don't even think he does. Like I don't.
Yeah.
One website he
He's on
had.
a couple of different stuff, but like, of course, nothing like too big. But
Yeah.
he's on a couple of different stuff, and because he's on it, those platforms are really taking off with conservatives.
Mm-hmm.
And so I guarantee you, like liberals as well are just waiting for him to say anything just so they could use it against him again.
I mean, he's on the news, but everybody's on the news. So
Yeah.
It's
And I'll tell you, me being as active as I am on Twitter, it's starting to become obvious that a lot of people on the left are being ratioed quite a bit. I don't know. Do you guys know what ratioed means?
I do not.
Okay, so ratioed is when something you say gets just kind of universally bad feedback. So a way to tell if someone's being ratioed, you look at their comments to likes ratio. If they have a load of comments but they have barely any likes, that usually means someone has a problem with what they're saying. And I've seen tweets who have had hundreds, if not thousands of comments.
Yeah.
And only probably 10 likes.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that's fun to look at on YouTube.
Yeah.
Yep.
YouTube's trying to get rid of the like and dislike button.
They're trying. Well, so what they did at first was they got rid of the number. I think for a lot of things they got rid of the number for the dislike,
Yeah.
which I think is funny. I think that was mostly because of the reaction to their what was it? Wait, yeah, the rewind.
Actually, if you look at it, all the videos posted by YouTube or anybody associated by YouTube, they have all the comments turned off and the
Yeah.
And they have what?
Number counter. The number counter's gone, like the dislike number counter.
Yeah, of course.
Like, come on, bro. Oh my gosh. I bet if YouTube didn't do that, Biden would be getting more dislikes than he has.
The popular presidents.
Mhm.
Most popular president ever. 81 million votes.
Oh,
Yeah, what is it? I remember one of the videos before they turned the dislike numbers off. You could see he only had 2,000 course, I don't know the actual numbers. He had like 2,000 likes and like 12,000 dislikes,
Mhm.
and I was like,
Wow.
It was one of his like one of his like press things.
Yeah, I think I did see that.
One thing that's kind of funny is that for Trump's inauguration, they left all the like and dislike and the comments on. But for Biden's, they got rid of all of it. You can't like it, you can't dislike it, and you can't even comment.
Yeah.
It's
They
like,
can-
I mean, the only ones you can find is like someone's screen recording, but all like the news supported the inauguration, you can't comment on it because they don't like mean words. It hurts their feelings.
Yeah.
And I mean, I feel like, you know, that's the beginning of the censorship, you know, and we
Yeah.
see it across social media, period. You know, Instagram like base level censorship is, you know, throwing up the banners talking about, you know, fact checking and COVID stuff. You know, Twitter's got the 12-hour bans, and then YouTube's got the like the comments and, you know, the dislike numbers.
Like
And
on. Sorry.
no,
Like
you're good.
on,
I was finished.
Okay, like on Instagram, I saw a post by Lil Nas X. The comments were limited, and all it was all verified accounts saying, "Oh yeah, this dude's the best. He doesn't care about anything. He's awesome." Lil Nas X just doesn't give a care.
Yeah.
It's like, why can't he have some criticism? Why can't we say what we want to say?
Yeah.
Free speech, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Free speech for me, but not for thee.
And that's another thing that, you know, Twitter does that too, you know.
Yeah.
Like it gives people the option to, like, you know, oh, I'm only going to accept replies from like people who are mentioned in the tweet.
Cool.
You know?
People. I mean, only verified accounts.
And I'm like, that's like dumb, because what they're doing is they're doing it to protect their own ego. They don't want to see comments that, you know, say they're being stupid or saying that they're making a mistake or what they said doesn't make any sense. So they just limit it to the people that they know will agree with them, which, you know, it's stupid, because, you know, you're not getting, not only is it stupid because it's limiting, you know, free speech, but it's also stupid because it's limiting your like intake of information. You know, you're limiting.
Well, they're so about like being open-minded. How are you going to be open-minded if you can't even hear the other side?
Exactly.
Or like opposing comments or whatever.
And that's how it is on the left. That's why you see so many people who have been red pilled coming out and talking about they're like I had no idea. Like they're like, I had no clue that the right actually believed this. All I ever heard was Nazi fascist. All I ever heard was Trump bad. All I ever heard was, you know, party of racists. And then they actually get some information and they're like, wait a minute.
Hold up.
This is actually morally correct. Factually correct. And
it's the left that's going door to door, not the right. What?
And they're being told by the left's higher powers that they should limit who can interact with them, because the higher powers on the left, the people in charge, don't want you to hear those opinions. They don't want you to hear them.
Yeah.
They want you to
Because
say
they know the truth is not on their side. So they can be defeated so easily unless they control what they hear and what people say.
just like in PragerU's videos, it was Will Wake. He was on the street. I forgot where he was. I want to say New York, but I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah.
He was going around asking people like, "Hey, do you know any conservative or Republican people?"
Oh yeah.
Like, no. He's like, "Well, I am," and they're like, "Okay." He's like, "How does that make you feel?" And they're like, "Not good." And he's just like, "What?
He's hurting me. He's threatening me by standing there."
And that's the thing, you know, they first assume, you know, like, oh, this person's out to get me, because they have no clue. They think they don't know any conservative people. I guarantee you more than half the people they know are actually conservative. They just don't want to tell them.
Absolutely.
They just don't want to tell them.
I feel like that's like the biggest thing too, is like that a lot of people think that like more people are like on the left and they don't realize it, but they're actually more conservative. You know, like so many people had to hide it, especially like with where I work at. You have to be quiet about being conservative and things like that. So a lot of people do hide it, and so you don't realize actually how many people are like-minded.
And that's one of the reasons. That's one of the reasons. Like, I really wanted to get involved with this. You know, when it was brought up on the PragerU meeting, is because, you know, this is exposing people to it, and that's something I do. Like, even at work with the people I work with, you know, they're kind of I won't say ignorant to the political game, because they're more or less involved in it. And they either don't have opinion or they do side with the left. And then, I'll bring up these things, like when we're closing or when we don't have customers in the store. And they'll be like, I never thought about that. Or they'll be like, wait, really? I'm like, yeah.
Yeah.
And, I know politics isn't something you're supposed to talk about at work, but
Yeah.
they really are my friends. So I feel comfortable
Yeah.
talking to them about it. So
I was talking with my manager about like we were talking about COVID and like the whole election and everything, and like she's liberal and she like said it and I'm like, yeah, I'm conservative, like, and we actually had like a good like conversation. We weren't like at each other's throats. We weren't trying to like say, oh well, Biden did this, which like we both said like Trump has had his flaws before, Biden has had his flaws. Past presidents have had their flaws. There's flaws on both the left and the right.
So wait, so when you say liberal, do you say left-leaning, or do you mean left-leaning center, or do they mean left-leaning center, or do they mean like left?
Left.
Oh, there we go.
Left.
Timothy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
There
because
we go.
it's an important distinction, because people who are left of center is
Yeah.
different than people who are on the left.
Yeah.
People who are
Yeah.
on the left generally don't want to hear conversation. People who are left of center, liberals or disaffected liberals, they're usually more into conversation. Their opinions may not change, but they're at least willing to hear you out, which I think is a very important thing. So
yeah,
Center
I
left.
thought I was honestly surprised by it
Yeah.
because like my other coworkers were just like one of them kept saying like, oh, I really love these Black Lives Matter hoodies. They're the best. We should get more of them. What do you think about them? And like tried to make me slip
Thank
up
you.
with something. Like,
you know what
they
you
wanted me
say?
to slip up.
You say if they're selling, then yeah,
I just said, I mean,
they're on the side of business.
Capitalism.
I
Yep.
said they looked interesting. And
They
they're
look
like,
interesting.
okay, they look
They're-
interesting. It had Snoop Dogg on it. I mean,
But yeah, I also have had a lot of like good discussions with people like who think similarly or who think totally differently, but we can still like have a good discussion. And
Yeah.
usually it's like at work or something like that. It's like once you have a relationship with someone, or at least like a good acquaintance, then like it's so important not to completely like hide your values, definitely, at least values, but also like your beliefs and opinions and everything, just because that's how you really can like learn from each other and like impact each other and spread actual truth instead of just relying on like social media and everything like that. But
yeah, like, sorry.
You can go ahead. You can go ahead.
okay.
Yeah.
So I actually had an old coworker. He was like liberal, and like I knew it, and he wanted me to know it. But so like we kind of had this thing where like we would jokingly laugh at our like political views. So like I kind of make fun of his views, he kind of make fun of mine. But like whenever we'd be talking, we wouldn't bring up politics like whatsoever, and we wouldn't like hate each other for it.
yeah,
So like he could put a post up for like the LGBTQT, I'd like say something, and then he'd say something about my post like kind of negative or whatever. And then when we're like talking in person or like doing anything like that, we just wouldn't bring it up or anything. We just acted normal, like perfectly fine.
yeah, that's good.
Like it was only when we're talking about politics when we're at each other.
And I mean, I think that's me personally. I think that's healthy. Being able
too.
to have that type of interaction with someone, just being able to make fun of each other's political beliefs, or even make fun of your own political beliefs. I feel like
Well,
that's
Having enough respect for each other, to be able to
Yeah,
have
really.
that.
to be able-
I think that's
still.
where we've lost it. We don't have that respect as much.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh yeah, I'm so like.
It-
or we could be sarcastically be like at political each other like, oh, I'm so triggered by your. Oh.
What I
You
think
think
it should be like a good example for like a good like I guess friendship like that, like like Kevin Hart and The Rock,
Oh yeah.
how they constantly like kind of bicker with each other and like poke fun at each other, but they're still like really good friends in the end. I think that's what it should be like. Same with like even religions. Like I have friends that aren't Christian, but I'll talk with them. Like we set aside our differences when we hang out and stuff. But like when we get to talking about religion, that's when we poke at each other. Same with political views.
Yeah. I'm
Yeah,
the
and
only one of my friends that's only one of my friend group that's religious.
Mm.
So
It makes it way more like of a real relationship too. Like it's just a lot better, honest, and you're okay with it. Like people are different, and that's okay. And then you can also again like learn from differences. Really,
I have something that I would like to go with.
Okay.
The one thing I believe that I think that essentially everyone can agree on is that politics, this is kind of along the lines of the same thing of what we're talking about before, but politics and churches should not mix, really.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
You
definitely.
know? Like, you find, especially nowadays, if all these churches, like, all these churches are now saying stuff about, like, everyone should get the vaccine, everyone should wear a mask, or this church can't open because of COVID, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I feel like the government and churches should not have a relation at
Yeah.
all, really.
See,
Or I think
see,
Oh, sorry, go
I think that that government should have religious values, I guess.
Yes.
You know, they should
Yes.
Uphold.
yes. They should
Yeah.
uphold they should uphold religious values, but not like, you know, just flat out saying, you know, we are a Christian government, because that's not
Yeah.
how it goes, but
Yeah.
you know, like, you know, we are our own person, you know. We have our free will. We you know, we shouldn't lie, we shouldn't cheat, we shouldn't steal, we shouldn't, you know, do all these, hey, the 10 commandments, you know, we shouldn't kill people. I feel like
Yeah.
those are good morals that, you know, a government should uphold. You know,
Yeah.
so I support the separation of church and state, but I do feel like there does need to be some level of, you know, religious values in our government, but you know, those could be more related to, you know, moral values that just so happen to be in religion as well.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I completely agree with that. And it's interesting, Mason, that you brought this up, because I was just discussing this a little bit with the Turning Point people I was with right before this. And we kind of like, I was saying basically the same thing, Tim, as you just said, because like you have to have the moral standards and stuff in order for there to be any type of law, you know, like obviously you need to punish things when they're immoral, like completely wrong. But it still needs to be like also separate at the same time, like no enforcing, of course, of religion, and then also not even like identifying as like
Well,
religion.
I'm not sure.
like
I want to like. Okay. Well, no. I was gonna say like. I just think like, what if the government should like abide by what it stands for? Like, if the United States was founded on Christian values, it's like, shouldn't we like stick by that in a way? I
Yeah.
want the government to reflect the values that we
Well, I think
founded upon. You
I
know?
think so. I think that's what I was trying to say. Like we have to stick to like values, but it doesn't necessarily need to mean religion
Yeah.
as far as like whole government.
Yeah, and I mean, there's a reason why we don't have, you know, a national religion, just like we don't have a national language, you know, because we are, you know, we are this big melting pot, you know, where people come in and they're allowed to have their beliefs, and they're allowed to have their own culture, but in in the end, you know, you're a citizen, you are an American, and that's what makes you, you know, part of this community where everybody's allowed to be different, and you know, most religions do share the same values, at least at the basic level. You know, even in Islam, you know, they do have their like core tenets. You know, you shouldn't lie, cheat, steal, and kill. But you know, Sharia law has gone beyond those rules and modified them for their own gain. You know, and you see the same in, you know, Judeo-Christian. You know, even in like Confucianism. You know, not even religions, but you know, philosophies. They do have these ideas of, you know, loving thy neighbor, you know, being a good person, and I feel like and that's what the founding fathers intended. I feel like, you know, even they didn't intend the state being part of the church or the church being part of the state, but they always knew that religious values were going to be part of our government, and that's how they intended it. You know, that's why, you know, we have our one nation under God. You know, God is just, you know, a creator, a person who is
The ultimate like law.
The law of man, not, you know, the law of the land.
Mm-hmm.
And I find that like nowadays, churches should not fear about being shut down.
Yeah.
Churches, the government has no right to shut a church down.
Yeah.
And so that I especially disagree with that. I don't like how they're trying to separate people now, like especially with like everything going on, everyone's being separated to the point where I'm like, I'm in church and they're talking about COVID, vaccines, and masks and stuff like that. I'm like, this isn't doctrine. We should keep this out of churches. Let the government do that. Churches, you do doctrine, which is what you're for. I believe that we should have of course, more of that,
Mhm.
and not so much more of this agenda being pushed on us.
And see,
Mhm.
I don't have much of a problem with at least suggesting to people that the vaccine is a good idea. I think the way the media and the government has been doing it is incorrect. You know, they're just saying, "Oh, we'll give you money if you get the vaccine." I feel like that's the totally wrong move. I feel
Yeah.
like if social media, if the mainstream media, if the government, and even churches, if they're going to say anything about it, they should say, here's what we know. If they recommend it, you know, they recommend it, but in the end, you know, ask your doctor. You know, is it something you really need to worry about? Because in the end, it's probably not something a lot of people need to worry about at all.
I mean, yeah, there's what I mean. A church,
Mhm.
what an ideal thing for a church to say is pray about it. You know,
Yeah.
to someone who is all knowing
Mhm.
whether you should get this or not. You know,
Yeah, ask
Yeah.
God.
Like,
Ask God for the answer.
that's the ultimate advice.
Yeah.
Instead of saying go get the jab, we
Yeah.
need to be safe and all this, and go get
Yeah.
vaccinated. That should be out of the picture.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Like, have you ever seen those, like, I guess, liberal churches, or like a left leaning church?
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, I've never been there, but I think I might know what they're like. Well,
I
we
haven't
believe
been
Black
one
Lives
either, but
Matter. No humans
I've
illegal.
heard
What's
about
up?
Yeah, they're extremely, like, they're trying to push like a political propaganda.
Mhm.
That's like their first agenda, and then they talk about like the Bible and everything. It's
Yeah.
like
What?
it's kind of
Come
funny
on.
though. I've seen like a video of them. Is that when they're talking about like their sermons, they're contradicting themselves.
Yeah,
The
and,
entire time. It's the
and half
funniest
the-
thing ever.
and half the time it's not even churches; it's entire denominations.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that when I was looking into denominations, because I don't really know where I fit in. I don't know if I'm non-denominational. I don't know if I'm, you know, Baptist, Presbyterian, Methodist. When I was looking into these denominations, you know,
What was the Baptist?
I was reading through them, and I was just like, these are a lot of, you know, kind of irreligious things, you know, non-Christian things that they're standing for. Like, I can't remember what it was, and they're like, you know, even though this is a sin, you know, it's not something that we're going to condone. And I'm like, no, I mean, condoning it, yes. Loving the person, hating the sinner, yes. Or not, no, loving the sinner, hating the sin. There we go. Yeah. I was, but, you know, it's, when you go as far as, you know, not saying it's a bad thing, that's kind of where it strays from what your core tenets are. It strays from you being a religious institution, and more you going towards, you know, political indoctrination of the people who attend your church, which
I've noticed that like more Pentecostal churches, I guess, have gone that way because I guess they're more of the modern churches of the time. So, like, I've seen it like Pentecostal churches, they get caught up in like the modern era stuff, and then like Baptists, and then they tend to stay more traditional. I go to a Pentecostal church. I'm Pentecostal, but I know that we try to stay away from that stuff. Like, we're not heavy into it. Like, my senior pastor, he'd like say something about it because like it was happening. Like, he's talking about the COVID-19, but he wasn't like saying, go get vaccinated, go wear masks, all this and that.
Yeah, like, you can acknowledge, or of course you can do whatever, but like, I appreciate acknowledging what's going on, and like maybe giving like some information, like you guys said, definitely, but not like acting like, oh, I know what the exact right thing to do is, and you guys should do this, especially when it's like,
I saw this thing that was like, I saw this one thing that's pretty much straight blasphemy. They're saying like, God told me to go make you do this, or God wants you to do this.
no,
Like, this
that's
is a pastor.
that's not how it goes. That's
Yeah,
not how it
pastor-
works.
Yeah, you can't speak for God.
yeah,
You have no right to.
yeah.
The only one who can
Especially
tell
when
you
it's
what God
someone
says
else's
is
life.
God
You don't have
himself,
the
you know.
authority, the proper calling to talk for
Yeah.
God.
Yeah, you can't even really technically talk for God.
Yeah.
And
also,
you go ahead.
pastors, like, they're not meant to be pushing
Yeah.
propaganda or telling people what to do. Pastors are supposed to be there to guide people
Yeah.
and to be a lead, like kind of like a leash or a guide, like a light.
A shepherd, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then
And-
how come Well, then how come they're pastors? They're like these woke pastors that like try to like get the propaganda, and they're trying to use the Bible with like their own agenda. The
Yeah, I
political
think they just want popularity among
Yeah.
like, all of the woke people, you know?
Like
See,
Pat Robertson, I don't know if you know that guy, Pat Robertson. He calls himself as a quote unquote gay pastor. He like says, "Oh, did you know like, did you know that Jesus was like all this? Well, like he like actually submitted to somebody. Like, come on.
What?
Like I could literally like play a clip right now. I don't know if I can share it on here.
Pat Robertson, but I didn't know that. Well, he's really old. I don't know.
Let me just like
Right now.
share. I want to share this because this is something like.
Hey, DuckDuckGo.
Hold on,
glad,
no.
glad we're
This
using
is not Pat
DuckDuckGo.
Robertson. This is
I
some,
like Pat Robertson.
Hold on, what is that search
So-
history?
the
Hold
gay
on.
pastor. Hold on. No, hold on. Where is the? Oh my gosh! I swear there was a gay pastor. There was some gay pastor that was like promoting all this
I
like.
don't think it was Pat Robertson.
No. I must have gotten the name wrong. My apologies. My apologies.
It's
Our
alright.
apologies go out to Pat Robertson.
Like what?
Robertson, I can't.
I can't.
Now
No, that's all. Like, sorry about that.
It's
We're
okay.
gonna get all the leftists saying that Steven's pushing false information and trying to make people
Yeah.
look bad.
Yeah.
What's going up with my eye right now? Does anybody see that?
Absolutely.
You know
no
what?
clue.
I don't care if they say
No.
like false information, man. Like,
Mhm.
come on, this is important stuff. They need to like, the truth needs to be exposed, man.
You're right.
Yeah, what is it? There's someone in my church. This person was not like called to teaching or anything like that. It was just a person my age that was being taught and stuff like that. And then during the lesson, he's like the mask is like the staff of Moses.
What?
You have to wear it. And I was literally sitting there like, what? And the
Boy,
people are
what
just sitting there. Most of the people in my particular ward, which is like our boundary area, most of them are very like sheep-like and just follow what the government says, and which is completely contradicting everything we've been taught. But anyway, a lot of them are like that. So they just
Oh, wait, I got it. Brandon Robertson.
What is
This
that
the
search
guy.
history? Huh? What's that search history? What was that? Huh?
No, this is the guy.
A Christian agnostic?
I
No,
don't.
he's
what
that
is it?
gay pastor who.
So-
This man looks like
he said
one of
Jesus was a racist.
Racist?
There was a video of him saying Jesus was like a racist,
Mhm.
and like when he used the story about like the Samaritan calling him to heal his daughter, and then like what? I was like, Jesus is not racist. What are you doing? Like you're really
Mhm.
comparing Jesus to like a regular human being when
Jesus
he's
is
God
a white-
Almighty.
He
Jesus
died
is a
for everyone.
So do we know what
No.
agnostic means?
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
not familiar
It
with
means
the
you
term.
believe in a well, correct me if I'm wrong, but it means you believe in a God, but you don't believe that the God has like interaction or relationship with humans, right?
Okay, so what it means is, so there's Christians. I'll give an example. There's Christians, there's agnostic, and then there's atheist.
Yes.
Atheist. So Christians believe that there is a God, regardless of what evidence there is a God. Atheists believe that there is no God, regardless of what evidence there is no God. Agnostics believe, I don't really know, but I'm going to say this until proven otherwise. So a Christian agnostic believes that there is a God, but I cannot be for certain. So until there is evidence that there isn't, I will believe in God. So that's what a Christian
One thing,
agnostic
one
agnostic is.
thing that you see. Sorry.
No, you go ahead. I was done.
One thing that you see is that like agnostic people are more willing to actually listen to you, and willing to like actually like research and
Yeah.
like look at the info and stuff. Where atheists will just straight up be like, "I don't want to hear this. This is
So-
false."
I for the longest time was an agnostic atheist. I 100% disagreed with the fact that there was a God. I was up for my mind being changed, but I didn't see any way of that happening. And then it got to the point where I just wasn't happy. I wasn't in the right headspace. So around the 10th grade, I started looking into religion. And around the 10th grade, I was looking for something to make me happy. And religion was one of those things I was like, all of this is happening for a reason. I'm being tested. I'm being showed that life isn't always amazing. But if I keep trying, if I keep trying hard, and if I hold my faith, or if I have faith, life will turn out fine for me. So I was atheist or agnostic atheist. Now I'm full blown Christian. I doubt that there will ever be evidence that God doesn't exist because, how can you
Yeah.
prove that?
Yeah, you really.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah.
And I've had conversations with this. I'm not a creationist, but I do see the creationist standpoint. And people are always like, "What about science?" And I'm like, God is all powerful. He can make it seem like fossils have been there for hundreds of thousands of years when they haven't been.
Mhm.
And I feel like that's one of the things that, kind of goes under the radar. They're like, "Oh, look at the science," and I'm like, "How do you know that's real?
Yeah.
How
Like,
can you really be
God
certain?"
created science to
Mhm.
make things work in our
Yeah.
world, so it's not just like chaos and everything.
Mhm.
And that's one of the things that really got my start, I guess, when I realized that when I realized that people aren't out to get me, I guess.
Mhm.
When I realized that things just happen,
Yeah.
and there's nothing that I can really do to control it, and that my life may not be predestined, but there is some rhyme or reason to what's happening to me, I guess.
Mhm.
um and that's when I started being a lot happier. So
Yeah, that's good. I feel like that has to do a little bit with it. Just struck a
Mhm.
thought in me, but like how like victimhood and atheism. I don't know. Like everyone, it
Oh,
seems
yeah.
like so many leftists are like obsessed with victimhood, obviously, and often they're a little bit like, I don't know, typically atheist or not Christian. Not to say all of them, whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's just interesting that you said like you were like it's hard to be happy. I feel like when you're seeing yourself as the victim.
Oh
So,
yeah,
like,
and I definitely thought I was a victim. I definitely thought, all of this is happening to me because people are terrible, and there's nothing I can do about it. Or I've held the same belief regardless. There's nothing I can do about it. But now I look at that as a good thing. There's nothing I can do about it. In the end, what happens happens,
yeah.
and in the end, I'll be okay as long as I am the best person I can be.
Mhm.
And I feel like realizing that it's gonna be okay is where everything went good for me, at least. I started cutting my hair too. I used to not cut my hair, which is great.
Wow,
My dad was pretty happy about me cutting my hair for the first time in years.
that's
All
funny.
right, that's great, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
It felt
all to
nice to get all
say
the weight off
though,
my head.
even just for the people that are watching this, and I've said this quite a lot, but it's like whatever we discuss, it's like as you're listening to this, it's like think for yourselves. It's like use your own discernment.
Mm-hmm.
It's like
Yeah.
whatever the media spoon feeds you, it's like you have to take it with a grain of salt. Whatever narrative is being pushed on people right now, especially like across America, even across the world, even like we gotta let people know the truth.
Yeah.
And I know that people other than America, people everywhere in the world, like they're starting to wake up.
Mhm.
And so it's like we can't give up hope just yet. It's like
Yeah.
we gotta keep the faith, we gotta hold the line, and we gotta fight for what we believe. We gotta fight for the truth. We gotta fight for what is right. So
Yeah.
that's what I can say right now.
And
Yeah.
I'll even go a step further. I'll be like, even with us, don't take our word 100%.
Exactly.
Don't take anybody on Fox News, Daily Wire, PragerU's words 100%. Because in the end, getting your beliefs from somebody else isn't what's going to make you happy. It's not what's going to help you be informed. What you need to do is you need to listen to the difference in opinions. If for everybody watching that doesn't agree with us politically, I'm glad you're here. Really, I want you to do some research. I don't want you to take my word 100%. I don't want to take anybody here's word 100%. researching and figuring out
Yeah.
it for yourself is the best thing for you.
Yeah, because again, we're all like humans. We all
Yeah.
make mistakes and we all have faults and we all do have even biases, you know, like
Mhm.
so look into things and
Oh, I mean,
pursue
yeah.
wisdom.
And I'll be the first person to say it. I definitely have a political bias.
Yeah.
You know, I am definitely more likely to listen to, you know, Christian and conservative people in media than I am, you know, liberal or
Yeah.
leftist.
Mhm.
And that's okay. It's good. It's okay to have a preference. You know, nobody's saying you
Yeah.
can't. So yeah.
Oh, this is kind of off topic, but I thought I'd show you guys. Let me share my screen.
All right.
Can you guys see it at all?
It's pulling up right now.
Yes, yes.
Oh God.
Oh, ignore that. You
Wait,
guys
what the-
can see
The
that.
breaker you got a bit.
We saw it. We saw it
You
already.
can see the other photo.
We already
Ignore
saw
that.
it. I love that though. The Prager you guy
Hey,
and Ben
that's the thumbnail
Shapiro.
of the video. And
But that should
Zane, I
be.
need you to send that to me.
Which one?
That picture you just showed us.
Which one? Hold up, let me.
The one that you were talking about.
So not the one with me in the cowboy hat.
You can send me
No.
that one too. I'll put it in the thumbnail.
Okay,
Go ahead.
I'll send that too.
All right.
Hold up, let me check. Let's
Hey,
see.
Finn, how are we on time right now?
I'm not too sure, but it's 9:34 here, and we started at 8 something. So
I think we started
Alright.
at like 8:10.
Do we want to do the outro?
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah,
All right. Thank you, everyone, for listening in on the conservative input. We are one short at the end here, but thank you for tuning in. And remember, take our words with a grain of salt because, of course, we aren't the most educated people in the world. And
Yeah.
decide for yourself what you believe to be true.
Yeah.
Signing off.
Thank you guys.
Bye bye.
Adios.